These years can represent the best in our lives. Coming of age during Nationwide This Morning on Thursdays explores issues persons 50 and over confront. It also provides expert opinions on how we can improve.
Stop putting off those plumbing projects. Start right. Start here at H&L Rapid True Value for plumbing supplies. The time by H&L Rapid True Value is
Nationwide time, 5 o'clock.
Crisp and refreshing. Room temperature or chilled. A Pure Water would drink. The temperature by Pure Water is
30 degrees Celsius in Kingston and also 30 degrees in Montego Bay.
From the Nationwide News Network, comprehensive, incisive, tough. This is Nationwide at 5.
Good afternoon, I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Robian Williams.
In Nationwide News at this hour, the government is to maintain its current inflation target of 4 to 6%.
The midpoint of this range of 5% will be the operational target for the Monetary Policy Committee. This target remains consistent with Jamaica's economic structure and stage of development.
The Education Ministry has activated its school safety protocols in response to renewed bomb hoaxes.
And the OEC is to write to CXC to ensure that students affected by today's bomb hoax are graded fairly in their external exams.
There's been a 143% increase in the country's health budget since 2016.
When we started on this journey, the budget assigned to public health was $60 billion. Today, 24-25, that budget has moved to $145 billion.
After a 6-year delay, the trial of 3 soldiers accused of killing businessman Keith Clark will get underway tomorrow.
In news from the rest of the world, Trinidad successfully arranges compensation from International Fund for Oil Spill.
Porn star Stormy Daniels testifies against Trump in hush money trial.
In headline sports, CONCACAF has released start times for opening round of games in 2026 World Cup qualifiers.
And later in our broadcast, in our cover story at 5:35, the defense has opened its closing arguments in the Omar Collymore murder trial. They've blasted the Crown's main witness as unreliable, but the prosecution maintains Omar was the centerpiece of a conspiracy to murder his wife. Robian Williams will join us with the latest.
Also in the cover story, the police are investigating a series of bomb threats at several schools today. Head of the JCF's Corporate Communications Unit, SSP Stephanie Lindsay, will join us.
In Public Opinion at 6:26, we ask, is there still a stigma attached to HIV? Give us your comments by logging on to our Facebook page, Nationwide News Network, and by tweeting us at Nationwide Radio. You can also leave your comments on Instagram at Nationwide 90FM.
In the nation's business at 6:40, there's been a 143% increase in the country's health budget since the Holness administration took office in 2016. Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton will join us with more from his sectoral presentation.
From 7 till 8, it's Nature's Remedies with Dr. Denise Daly. Tonight, we'll be looking at the dandelion plant.
And at 9 tonight, it's Affairs of the Heart with Rodney Campbell.
All these and more as we take you home on air on your mobile, Nationwide 90FM, nationwideradiojm.com, and on the Nationwide app, available on the Google Play and the App Store. This Tuesday afternoon, it's Tuesday, May 7, 2024.
News at 5 is brought to you by KFC Hot Wings. Available in hot and spicy barbecue. KFC Hot Wings, a wing for the win. KFC is finger licking good.
If it's news, it's got to be Nationwide 90 FM.
And now to the details. The government has decided to maintain the current inflation target for the Bank of Jamaica at 4 to 6%. Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clark made the announcement in the House of Representatives on Tuesday. Siobhan Campbell tells us more.
Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clark says the decision was arrived at in consultation with the Bank of Jamaica.
Following consultation with the Governor of the Bank of Jamaica, who is also Chairman of the Monetary Policy Committee, I confirm and have so tabled documents advising that the inflation target for Jamaica, calculated as a 12-month point-to-point percentage change in the Consumer Price Index as measured by Statin, will remain at 4% to 6% for the next 3 years. The midpoint of this range of 5% will be the operational target for the Monetary Policy Committee. This target remains consistent with Jamaica's economic structure and stage of development.
The inflation targeting regime was established in 2017 as part of the Bank of Jamaica's mandate. It's to be reviewed every 3 years, with the last review taking place in 2021. Inflation is the measure of the prices of consumer goods. The rate currently stands at 5.6% as of April. Dr. Clark says there are significant risks at this time to set a lower target.
A lower inflation target than what currently obtains would require higher interest rates for longer, which could be detrimental to growth and to fiscal dynamics. Furthermore, Jamaica's recent experience has highlighted that there are constraints to targeting a lower inflation rate at this time. In particular, the frequency of economic shocks, labor market rigidities, low productivity, a weak monetary transmission system, and regulated price adjustments constrain the ability of the Bank of Jamaica to deliver a lower inflation rate than what is currently targeted in the near term. These constraints speak to inherent challenges which as a country we must tackle if we are to target and enjoy the levels of inflation of our main trading partners.
Similarly, he says a higher target would negatively impact poorer Jamaicans.
On the other hand, setting the target higher than 4% to the 6% range would be problematic for most Jamaicans who don't have the independent means to protect themselves against higher targeted inflation. For these reasons, the inflation target for Jamaica, calculated as a 12-month point-to-point percentage change in the consumer price index as measured by Statin, will remain at 4% to 6% for the next 3 years.
Siobhan Campbell for Nationwide News.
The Ministry of Education has activated its school safety protocols in response to renewed bomb threats. In a statement on Tuesday, the ministry says threats were reported against Kingston College and Campion College earlier today. Minister of Education Favour Williams says the ministry was in contact with the Ministry of National Security to ensure that all the necessary precautions were taken. The minister says these threats are not to be taken lightly and have to be treated with the same level of urgency, whether they are real or hoax. Minister Williams is appealing to citizens to desist from these types of disruptive actions, which can have serious negative impacts on students. The ministry says schools that receive bomb threats should call 911 or 876-927-7778. In addition to calling, affected schools should complete a critical incident report.
Meanwhile, the Overseas Examinations Commission, OEC, says a letter will be sent to the Caribbean Examinations Council, CXC, to ensure that students affected by Tuesday's bomb hoaxes are graded fairly in their external exams. Examinations were disrupted at Homewood Technical High in Manchester, as well as Kingston College and Campion College in Kingston. Mahiri Stewart has more in this report.
The bomb threats forced students at Homewood Technical High, Kingston College and Campion College to finish their exams at neighboring schools. Executive Director of the OEC, Hector Stevenson, says he suspects students would have been affected psychologically.
In all of these cases, we understand that students would be somewhat traumatized psychologically and so on. It would have been very off-putting that you're writing your exam and in the middle of writing your exam you have these unfortunate interruptions.
As a result, Mr. Stevenson says the Commission will be writing to the Examinations Board.
We would have to write to CXC for some consideration to be given, hardship consideration, and the examining body, CXC, does have mechanisms to treat with those kinds of situations where students might have